Hi, this is Sidecast for Music Radar. We're at NAMM 2011. We're here at the Fairlight stand to take a look at the very exciting Fairlight CMI 30A 30th anniversary Fairlight instrument. I'm here with Peter Vogel, who's one of the inventors of the original Fairlight, who is probably the best person possible to explain about the whole project. Peter, for people who may not be aware of the original Fairlight instrument, can you explain a bit about the original instrument and what it was and why it was so influential at its time?
Yes, the original Fairlight was developed in, the first one was demonstrated in 1979, and we actually have one of the original instruments here at the show. It's sitting over there. It's in factory condition. We borrowed it from someone here in Los Angeles who owns it. And coming about 10 years before personal computers were commercially available, it was the first instrument that allowed you to sample any sound that you want and play it back at different pitches to make music out of natural sounds or instrument sounds. Prior to that, music synthesizers had been more of the electronic genre. The big thing at the time, of course, was the Moog systems, which made terrific electronic sounds, but you couldn't reproduce the sound of a piano or a human voice or a breaking bottle or whatever. And we developed this system which was based on microprocessors, which were just becoming available at the time. The state of the art then was an 8-bit micro, which ran at a 1 megahertz clock rate. So it's about, these days, about 1,000 times more powerful inside of an iPhone. So it was a bit of a challenge, but we managed to get some pretty good sounds out of very limited technology.
So tell us about the 30th anniversary edition that you've got here at NAMM 2011. So obviously we can see it behind us here. It obviously has a very similar look to the original instrument. However, you can see a little, is that an iPod or iPhone tucked away down there? So what's the difference between this version and the original then?
Well, over the last 10 years or so, I've been getting, every week I'd get a couple of emails from people somewhere in the world. It seems like there's still at least 100 of the originals 1970s model CMIs still in use. And people would email me and say, my 8-inch floppy disk has died. Where do I get a replacement? Actually, I'll show you an 8-inch. Duncan, can you get me an 8-inch floppy disk? Because most people watching this would never have seen an 8-inch floppy disk.
Yeah, they're not very common things these days, are they?
No, and so when people have problems with them, this is the heart of the Fairlight Series 2. And the storage on this was a massive 256 kilobytes, not megabytes, not gigabytes, kilobytes. So the whole of a Peter Gabriel song would fit onto one of these discs. And that was partly responsible for the characteristic sound of the music that people like Peter Gabriel and Kate Bush were making at the time, in that in order to squeeze the sound into such small amounts of memory, we had to do some pretty heavy processing on it. So the reason that people are still using their Series 2s today is that it can produce a sort of a ballsy, grainy sound that you don't get out of the average sampler. The technology since the 70s and the 80s, of course, has come a long way, and now you can get something with extremely high fidelity for $100. But what people are yearning for now is much the same way as people are going from CDs to vinyl, or going from Class D amplifiers to valve amplifiers, is that they want the instrument to impose its own character on the sound. And the Series 2 certainly did that. So what we've decided to do is to bring back the Series 2, which has the Series 2 in this package, which still has the look and the feel of the original instrument. You don't feel like you're sitting down at a PC, you're not working with tiny little coloured icons and so on. It's big, chunky, pixelated green graphics on a black screen. One of the iconic aspects is the light pen, which was the user interface device which we came up with, which allowed you to draw straight onto the screen. And that has its own particular feel. It's quite different to using a mouse. It's quite different to using a touch screen. And we've just brought it all into sort of 21st century technology, so it's readily serviceable. If anything goes wrong, you can get spare parts for it. And of course, we've gone from the original machine, which was 8 channels, 8 voices, 8 bits, 16K waveforms, to very large numbers of channels. Can dial up anywhere between 4-bit and 36-bit resolution. So you can either use it to produce the grungy sounds of the CMI all the way through to the highest quality sampling you could possibly want.
So obviously there's a lot of love for the Fairlight sound. Before we started filming here, we've had people coming along and saying kind of, oh, I haven't seen one of these in 20, 30 years, and looking incredibly excited about it. Have you any other plans for future things after this, kind of things like possible software emulations of Fairlight sounds or things like that might come in the future?
Yes, absolutely. This product is aimed squarely at the, I guess, the high-end collectors market. We're only going to make a limited edition of 100 of these. They're all being hand-built and built to order. And you obviously pay a premium for the packaging, because this is a painted wooden case and welded steel chassis. Even the keyboard here is built like the original CMI keyboard, which is a fabricated aluminium frame. So you can plug in any $20 PC keyboard if you want, but it won't look and feel like a Fairlight keyboard. Similarly with the light pen, the easy way to do it would have been to use a touch screen, and you just point at it with your finger, but that would have been too easy. So we reinvented the light pen technology for this occasion. After we've sold this edition, we'll obviously then have the software that we've developed for this, which we can run on other platforms. So we will be offering it's not quite a software-only system, because there is a proprietary device in there, which is a field programmable gate array, FPGA, which does all the audio processing. And that's what sets us apart from other PC-based systems, because whereas if you get your Mac and you load some software onto that and start writing MIDI, it is executing sequential code and it's generating everything in software. With the FPGA, the emulation of the Series 2 is virtually done in hardware, which is configured by the software. And that means that as you have more channels, the performance doesn't degrade at all. Until you've filled up the FPGA chip, there's no difference in the performance between 1 channel or 200 channels. And that is that as the MIDI comes into the card and the MIDI goes directly into the FPGA, as soon as that MIDI message is finished, the sound starts coming out of all channels in parallel. So it's not a sequential process like in a normal computer. It's a massively parallel process. So the latency between MIDI in and sound out is always roughly 20 microseconds. So you'll never have those sort of delay problems that you have with conventional systems, but you do pay a lot more for it.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you guys come out with in future projects. Finally, for anyone who would like to get their hands on these beautiful 30th anniversary editions, where are they available from and how much are they retailing for?
They're available only through our website, fairlightinstruments.com.au, and they're retailing for 20,000 Australian dollars. We build them to order, we ship them from Sydney, but we do have service agents in every country that we sell into, so that if something does go wrong, you've got local support.
Okay, Peter, thanks very much for talking to us. It's been Cy Truss for Music Radar and NAMM 2011. Thanks.